Hey, what's going on? This is Dr. Ben Glass. I'm a chiropractor, and this is the Pre-Chiro podcast. Today, we're having another chiropractic student connection with Spencer Dupre, who's a student doctor out at Parker University. Spencer, thank you so much for taking some time to share your insights with the prospective audience out there who's considering this path. Can you get started by sharing what you were up to before you went to chiropractic school and what attracted you to become a chiropractor?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me on. So before chiropractic school, I was studying kinesiology at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. Go Cajuns. Um, I got into chiropractic because in 2001, my mom got into a car wreck, um, and she came away from the car wreck with a spinal cord injury at L3, L4, and left the hospital in a wheelchair. And the medical doctors that saved her life, and I'm really grateful for that, told her that she would never walk again. But my mom has always told me the biggest thing in life is to lean on faith and that you have the power to control your own destiny. And my mom was determined to get out of that wheelchair and walk, and she did, because she believed in the power that God instilled into our bodies has the power to heal our bodies. So I was super blessed with that inspiration going through school. And I think that's what's really attracted me to chiropractic, because freshman year playing football, had a lot of back pain and everything. And I didn't want to go and see regular doctors or any other type of normal medicine, because I was ultimately scared that they would, tell me I was broken, just like they told my mom. So we had a family friend that worked for a chiropractor. And so I went and headed out there and got into the chiropractor world, got adjusted. My whole life changed from there. And from that day on, I knew this is what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. And what was it about your mom's healing process that really helped her get to that point where she was able to walk again? Did she see a chiropractor, or was she more just relying and trusting that her body was going to get better, and over time it did?
Yeah, my mom put in a lot of work in her spiritual life, in and like in the physical realm too. She did see a physical therapist, and super grateful for that man too. He was awesome. Um, so I think it was like 5 times a week for a while. She was going to the physical therapist, and always told me that God was going to get her out of that wheelchair. And I think what really attracted me to chiropractic instead of physical therapy is that chiropractic really keyed in on the power of the body to heal itself rather than physical therapy.
Hmm. No doubt. And can you talk about your athletic background? You said you were playing football. Was that in college? And if so, how did that guide your mindset through college? And how was it being a kinesiology student? What were some of the classes that you studied that you believe are relevant to what you're doing now as a chiropractic student?
Yeah, I played football and soccer in high school. I didn't play any collegiate sports because I knew I wanted to go to chiropractic school. And I so in college, though, I got really big into CrossFit and really big into the whole training aspect. And I thought that went really well with my kinesiology major, because it was just really nice to be able to go into class and study the physiology and study movement patterns and study the anatomy, and then directly see it translate into the gym, watching other people, feeling it for myself, like really implementing like the biomechanics that I was learning, all the movements, and then be able to reflect on what I just did in the physiologic aspect and just assess that. And so it made learning really fun, really hands-on, very interactive.
Dope. And can you talk about that transition into chiropractic school? Why did you choose to go to the school that you did? Did you look at a bunch of different schools, or were you just focused on this one, and why? And what was some surprises that you encountered once you entered into chiropractic school?
Yeah, so um, my roommate in undergrad, we're actually from the same hometown, and his uncle is a chiropractor who's a Parker University alum. So we had lived together, and we both knew we were going to chiropractic school. Then I sat next to another guy in my kinesiology classes, and he also wanted to be a chiropractor. It's just kind of crazy how, God puts those people in our lives. And we were all talking, and we were like, man, what kind of schools are you guys looking at? Blah, blah, blah. And so we just started doing our research online, just the Google search, what is the best chiropractic school? And at the time, Parker University was first on the list. And it was closer to Lafayette, where we're all kind of around. And so we just kind of all made the decision to go together, so we would have that background, that friendship, the stability in the home, people to lean on, people to rely on. It was a really beautiful opportunity for me. And I think I took a lot of advantage of that. It's been awesome.
Did you start school with the same roommates that you had in undergrad? Did you all start school together, or yeah?
Yeah, so we all entered the program early. So Parker University has the early admittance program where you can get your 90 credits, finish your prereqs, and then move into the DC program without getting your bachelor's degree, because they do a dual bachelor's program, which is what all three of us are actually doing now. So we all ran the whole 90 credits in undergrad, did the whole basic sciences, and then like a little bit into one of my friends, he was a kinesiology major with me. My other roommate, he was a biology major. So whenever we decided that we could all get in, and then we could all get in early, we said the smartest thing to do would be to start now. Why not start now, save ourselves a year, because we're all pretty much the youngest ones in our class. I came into the DC program at 21. I'll graduate as a doctor at 24, open up my own practice, have my own business, and then finish up my bachelor's degrees through Parker University. So I'll have a bachelor's degree in anatomy and health and wellness, which I'll finish this trimester on top of my doctorate.
And looking around the classroom at chiropractic school, you said you're one of the youngest. That doesn't mean that you haven't necessarily made friends with some of the older students, and that you haven't found your tribe or your groups of people that you've felt comfortable and interacted with. Can you talk about some of those groups that you've gotten involved with since becoming a student, and how that's really shaped your experience in chiropractic school?
Yeah, it's been really great. So the three of us, we came onto campus knowing no one except each other. So we decided that we were going to get involved with as many groups as possible. We went to all the clubs. We went to like the female chiropractors club. We went to the business clubs. We went to all the technique clubs. And then we just decided and picked, and it was really cool because each of us kind of picked our own avenues. And so even though we lived together and we were on the same path and we were doing the same thing, we all decided that, I'm this doctor, you're that doctor, blah, blah, blah. And so we really respected each other's individual path and passions. And so we got involved into the Adjust Club, Kairos Training Culture, Females Kick Atlas, TRT a little bit, and then recently get involved with Delta Sigma Chi, the professional chiropractic fraternity. That's been really cool. So yeah, there's just like a lot of opportunity, and it's been really interesting too, because like I said, like being one of the youngest ones, being in class and speaking and talking and brainstorming with the people who are, several years older than me, or, have been through the full undergrad, gauntlet. And it's been cool because I feel like it's helped me grow up a lot, because one of my biggest concerns going into school early was being too young to be the doctor, to be taken seriously, to have not enough life experience to provide care. And so those guys have really picked me up and helped me mature at a faster pace than I expected.
Yeah, no doubt. I hear it in your voice. You sounded like a grown professional that's been in the game for years. What have you been focused on studying as a chiropractic student? You said you got involved in the professional fraternity. Can you talk about how that's enabled you to focus more on chiropractic, and then also some of those other clubs that you gravitated and stuck with? How have they helped your day-to-day? Can you just give us some insights on what your day-to-day training is like, or your day-to-day focus is?
Yeah, sure. So in regards to the chiropractic fraternity, we really focused on straight principled chiropractic, exactly how BJ and DD laid it out. That's been really good because like some of the guys on here have talked about, that parallel curriculum, that you can go to school and you do all the science learning and do all the things to pass your boards, and that's super great. And all of that is applicable into practice. But the fraternity has helped me really delineate what is chiropractic and what is not. There's a really clear, fine, hard line that tells me this is chiropractic, this is not. So it's helped me identify who I am as a doctor, and it's just lit a fire under me for the philosophy of chiropractic. That's been really great because we don't get a lot of that in school, which they have their own thing to teach, but that's been really feeding that one need. Mm-hmm. And then in the aspects of training, Kairos training culture, getting involved in that, learning all of the training aspects that they put into that, and then implementing it in with my CrossFit background and my weightlifting sports background has been really pivotal, because now in the gym, I'm no longer just training just to lift heavy numbers, lift whatever, or hit times on certain workouts. Now I'm training to serve. All of my workouts are geared toward my adjusting, toward my movement, so I can be sustainable around the table, deliver clean, efficient adjustments, and do it for a long time.
Awesome. Love it. Can you give any advice to a person that was still in college, maybe just getting started in college, knows they want to go to chiropractic school? How can they prepare themselves today? Should they start doing those types of workouts? Do you think that they should start reading some certain books that have been pivotal for you in understanding the philosophy? What can students get started on before they get to chiropractic school, so when they get there on day one, they have a more rich experience, they're more engaged, and the quality of their focus or the quality of their learning process is just a little bit better?
Yeah, so if you know that you're going to go to chiropractic school 100%, like there's no doubt in your mind, what I would do is, wherever you're at, find as many chiropractors as you can and shadow them, for sure, because that'll help you realize that there are different types of chiropractic. Because when I was an undergrad, I only went to one chiropractor, the chiropractor that I saw in high school, and I shadowed him. And, this is kind of what I wanted to do. And then whenever I got into chiropractic school, all the hinges were kind of blown off, because there were so many techniques. There were so many things when I only knew one way. So expose yourself as much as you can, Training wise, it would be kind of hard, I think, to start doing the adjusting based training when you have no sort of background with the adjustment. Unless you can have a doc that is really willing to show you that, and you can kind of make it up on your own. But if you want to know that you go, like, excuse me, if you know that you definitely want to go to chiropractic school, call the universities that you're interested in and see if they have the early admittance program, because starting early is, I think, the best thing that I've ever done, because the only thing we can't buy in this life is time. And so having those extra years ahead of all these other people, having all these extra years on top of it, it's been so phenomenal, because I'll have all this other time to build my practice and establish myself before, I want to start a family or whatever else I want to do in life. Mm-hmm. So starting early is definitely the one. Get all your prereqs done and know that you can still finish them in some of the schools that offer them.
Most definitely. It sounds like you really appreciate a challenge. What are some of the things that have challenged you and made you better in this program that you're involved in over at Parker?
Some of the biggest challenges. So I think adaptation has been like a really big challenge. Everything that we do, we have to adapt to, or we become subluxated. And so leaving home and leaving places that were so familiar, because back home, my whole family lives on the same street, so I wanted to get out of that environment and challenge myself and develop. So I left home for undergrad, so I can develop, and then got really comfortable in my places in undergrad. So then I left to go to grad school, and I left early because I knew that it would better me in the long run. So adapting to like the course load and the new environment and all these new people was kind of overwhelming, so that was a really big challenge there. I don't think physically, like with my sports background, I really had a big challenge like adapting to the whole adjusting. But I think doing my due diligence in school was another big challenge, because the course load is so heavy. And I was always pretty good in school throughout high school and throughout undergrad. So I never really put in like big time hours on the study grind, But coming into grad school, I was really determined to, I'm not going to let school be the limiting factor. I'm not going to let my grades be the limiting factor of me being successful at the end of the day. So, just as hard as I want to be a good adjuster and I want to know exactly what chiropractic is, I got to have good grades too. So I put in the time uh,
Mhm.
with the whole study and everything, but that was hard for me.
Awesome. Can you use your imagination? Obviously, you're not graduated yet, but what does it look like for you to re-enter the community that you came from has gone through this whole process, and how do you plan to make an impact on your community in the future?
Yeah, so I'm about a year and 3 months out from graduation. I'm currently try 7, so in the last academic portion of the program. Going back to those communities would be like super nice, either in Lafayette, Louisiana, where I went to undergrad, or back in Houma, Louisiana, where I'm from. I have some options going on over there. It would just be such a blessing to serve like those communities. If I would be back in Lafayette, which is I think kind of where I'm leaning toward now, I would really, really want to set up an undergraduate mentorship where I would take on an intern every single semester or trimester, so in the fall and the spring and in the summer, because that was something that I wish I really had, was a doctor that was willing to take me under like his wing or let me just spend time in his office. Um,
Hmm.
I was going around asking guys, hey, like, is there any way I can just like spend time in the office as an internship? Like I have this internship class that I need hours for. I'm really looking to get in the office, whether it's just sweeping the floors and taking out the trash and, picking up coffee in the morning. I just want to be in chiropractic. And, those guys just didn't have the space, and like, that's fine. Everybody, has their place where they're at, but I would love to be a space there for
Hmm.
prospective students because I see a lot of people in my class that just did chiropractic because I didn't get in PT school, or I needed to make some extra money, or like um, I just didn't know what I wanted to do, and this was an option that would let me get into school. But for me, chiropractic is the greatest thing in the whole world. We have life that we deliver with our hands, and so the gift of life to give to people is such a valuable, valuable thing. And so knowing that, giving students the opportunity to know what they're getting into before they get into it, which is why I think pre-Chiro is so awesome,
Hmm.
would be something I'm really trying to gear myself toward when I get out into practice.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that message. That's dope, fam. So, what would you, knowing what you know now, having gotten exposure to what you've gotten exposed to now, what would you have liked to have learned as that intern in college? Like, what would you be providing for interns in that quote unquote internship that you're bringing an undergraduate student into your office and kind of showing them the game? Obviously, you're not in real world practice yet, but knowing what you know now, just halfway through the program, how could you really provide a lot of value to somebody who's coming into your office at that time?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I, as a doc in practice, would try to instill in these people that would come and work with me would be the big idea that BJ talks about. Um, the fact that chiropractors get sick people well, and we're not this rack and crack, loudest cracks on YouTube kind of thing. And that's great because it gets the profession attention, and any publicity is good publicity. And I think that we really need that now, especially in the world. But knowing that we do have this power to give people life back in, and that's what we do. We're not physical therapists. We're not, uh, rehab docs. We're not that. We're docs that instill life into people, and we give people their lives back. That's, I think, the biggest thing that I want students to know, because when you go into school with that mindset, like, hey, I'm here to deliver life, it makes studying, you know, glycolysis, and it makes, memorizing all the things
Hmm.
really, really special, because now it's no longer facts on a page, it's what makes life happen. And to me,
Hmm.
that's like super beautiful.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I mean that's what'll keep you happy and excited for the rest of your
Yeah.
working years. I'm now about 10 years into this game, and I'm loving it just like I was loving it as a student. It's fascinating to continually see positivity in the interactions that you have with people, like to be in a high energy office where people are excited to see you. They address you by your name, not like sometimes they'll call you doc, or sometimes they won't necessarily refer to you by your name, but a lot of the times people start to see you as like a trusted advisor, somebody who's like as close to them as anybody in the world right now, especially in this world that's deprived of touch, right? We live in a
Right.
civilization where touch is very deficient, and people are very heavy on technology, and chiropractic is not utilizing any technology. It's all about human connection and touch. And so it's very relevant to the future. We'll never have like to worry about job security. There will always be a need. Um, Great profession to consider. So thank you for shining like so much of a focus on becoming a chiropractor. And you really highlighted all the different elements. I'm curious if just because you're kind of new in school or you're young, can you talk about like spinal anatomy, and like if a student's in anatomy and physiology in undergrad, like how, like bringing it back to maybe the neurology or to the spinal anatomy, and just kind of like helping focus an anatomy student in undergrad in on some of these things that become more important when you're studying the adjustment or you're studying about chiropractic?
Yeah, I think that the anatomy of the spine is one of the most important things. Like I tell new students, the biggest thing that they need to invest in is a table, a spine, and a Thule board, because that's what helps you practice your adjustments. Because the adjustment isn't just a motion, it isn't just a twist or whatever. It's the influence of the anatomy to make a change in the body. And so being able to see the spine in space and be able to see the anatomy in someone else really, really focuses in and uh, refines your intention. And that is, I think, the difference between these non-specific adjustments and specific adjustments, and that's what we do. We deliver specific clearing and correcting adjustments to subluxations. And so knowing the anatomy and knowing the neurology uh, lets you refine exactly what you're doing and know that your outcome is going to be specific. So I would say an undergrad student, if you are studying the anatomy, understand, the biomechanics of the spine with the facet joints and the glide. So that changes your technique and your vectoring into your adjustments. Know your neurology, because that lets you know, what levels you adjust affect the spine in different ways, because everything that is applicable to the person on the table. So it's just about like, having the deep tool bag and be able to walk into any situation confident and competent.
Mm-hmm. No, excellent. And you being in the fraternity, how has that enriched your experience? Can you give a deeper understanding as to why a student who's not necessarily in a fraternity in undergrad, or who is in a fraternity, might want to consider this fraternity that it sounds like you're extremely involved in?
Yeah, so the fraternity, in my eyes, is the best of the best, and that's why I sought them out. Is because if I want to be the best doctor in the town, not as in like a numbers way or a technique way, like I'm the best adjuster, but the best doctor to serve the people of the community. Everybody has that one doctor that they're meant to be with. You resonate with people in a different way that I resonate, and the fraternity guys were just people that I looked up to. They were a lot of the guys that mentored me under my under their wing whenever I first came in. And so I wanted a part of that, and I saw them leading the charge, and I felt like I had a place in that role as well. So if you want to be heavily involved, if you want to be confident, know exactly what chiropractic is and is not, want clarity, want support. That's the biggest thing, because these guys, like I said, like my roommates, we all have like our different path, but all these guys in the fraternity, we all know exactly what we want to do, and it's pretty much all the same thing. We might have a different technique, but we all know we want to deliver like clear, straight, principled chiropractic.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that's what you're into, I think, DSC, Delta Sigma Chi, is definitely the place to be at.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Spencer. Is there anything else that you want to say in regards to projects you're working on right now that you want people to be aware of, that you want them to maybe go check out a website or a resource, or potentially check out some YouTube videos that you believe are relevant?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest projects that I'm working on right now, like you said, super involved in the fraternity. Our social media pages are a really great resource, I think, for all students and all docs of all different walks, whether you are a super principled straight doc, or if you're, a super modality mixer doc, or if you're a student that doesn't know what chiropractic is, or wants to learn more and wants to just put faces to names and like see the students and see what we're doing. Delta Sigma Chi, or DSC.mu on Instagram, is a super great resource, because we're going to be posting videos. We just had a big week this week to kick off the trimester, where we brought in 8 docs to talk about the philosophy, the science, and the business of chiropractic. We had Dr. Paulo Feely, we had Maxwell Kelly, the founder of Chirolux Chiro Tables. We had Dr. Devin Verana, Dr. Zach Bloom, Dr. Abby Elam, and Dr. Jeremy Steele, and they all delivered some really powerful hour-long messages. So if you're looking for content, if you're just looking to hear the voices of the docs and see what the profession is going into, all of those pages will have that information. I personally run them, so that's kind of why I think they're good resources, and I know the quality that's going into them, because I put in a lot of hard work to do those pages, because I want students to have access to that all for free.
Thank you for your service to the students. It hopefully will reach them. That's the hardest part, is there's a huge disconnect with students knowing what's out there and then them connecting once they find out about it, because their mind is so into the curriculum that's been given to them and just getting through classes and balancing their personal life and school
Right.
demands. But I think that what you're describing is an additional level of commitment to chiropractic school, which is essential if, like you said, you want to take it to as far as you can take it in your personal development and in your expression of chiropractic once you graduate. So thank you for the time that you put in. And any student that's here, I'm going to post something that they can connect with you on Instagram, or we'll post the page for the fraternity, and check out those resources. We're trying to build infrastructure, so anyone who's out there, regardless of which country you're in, if you're a prospective chiropractic student, you have access to quality resources. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful day.
Thank you.